My footsteps echoed down the corridor, punctuating the sharp hiss of heated voices bouncing off chipped tile. The stench of disinfectant clung to my throat, sharp and unyielding. I was 17, fists clenched at my sides, and I could hardly tell which ache was stomach and which was heart. Past the faded blue doors, where the nurses bustled with dripping bags and hushed talk, my world was collapsing for the second time that year. The argument between my mother and uncle was loud enough for all the ward to hear. "He's throwing away his life!" Uncle Peter's baritone rose, trembling. "What's he going to do with that? Taking pictures of dogs in the Tiergarten? Wake up, Gisela!" "He's not a fool," Mama replied, voice measured but brittle as winter ice. "This is what makes him happy. Why must you—" He cut her off with a bark. "Happiness doesn't pay the rent in Berlin, especially not now. Get him an apprenticeship, at least at the automaker." I stood frozen in the middle of scuffed linoleum, resentment darting through me, hot as a match to skin. The world seemed built by people like Petermen with crinkled shirts, tired knuckles, a faint smell of paint and beer clinging to their breath. I was the strange one, the boy with a battered Soviet zenith slung around my neck, a sketch pad forever poking out of canvas bags full of postcards and fumbled negatives. All around was the slow throb of indignity, of being noticed in all the worst ways. I pressed forward past the nurse's station, shoes squeaking. The only escape was Nana's room. She watched with careful eyes as I came in, her smile gentle but threaded with apology. "They still at it?" she asked, voice weak as a bruised reed. I nodded, setting my camera bag down by her feet. It was all I had brought, aside from a tangle of nerves. "Good. Let them stay out there." She stretched her hand across the blanket, liver-spotted and bird-like. I held it, our fingers laced, grounding each other. "If you could leave," I murmured, "would you?" Her eyes, faded but fierce, met mine. "I did, long ago. Came back. It's the coming back that hurts less." The weight of her approval was all I had some days. I spent hours sitting beside her, holding her hand while the machines beeped and the city rattled by outside. When she slept, I took her picture. The elegant splay of her fingers, the way the sunlight fanned over her cheek through yellowed curtains. My photographs were not beautiful yet. I knew it. Not enough to change minds. Still, at night, I sank into the flickering bath of chemicals in the closet I'd turned into a darkroom, watching images emerge as if from fog. Sometimes, as I teased the prong dial on the enlarger, I imagined myself in some gallery, maybe in Charlotte. I'd show the doubters, the ones who still called me Dreamy Janik with a sidewise laugh, not just with pictures, but with a life lived on my terms. I dropped out of the technical school that summer, after one too many snide remarks from teachers who called my photographs pointless distractions. Mama never said she approved, but she never pushed me to stay either. She just gazed from behind her chipped porcelain mug with a private sadness. Peter, on the other hand, made a ritual of my failure. Every meal became a proving ground. "You want to eat under this roof, you need to pitch in," he grumbled, shoving a newspaper across the table. "Look, mechanic's helper, delivery boy. Decent, honest jobs. Or you can keep pressing that button, hoping for a miracle." I stared at the listings, numb. The notion of dye-stained fingers and a life reduced to pausing at the click of a shutter felt impossible to justify, even to myself. But when I closed my eyes and tried to imagine safety tools and time cards, days blending into weeks, my heart recoiled like a cornered animal. The others joined in. Cousins at birthdays, rolling their eyes, neighbors who laughed that the only thing I'd ever frame would be a parking ticket. Mama started going quiet in the grocery line, whenever friends asked about me. They thought I was lost, a joke in the making. I stayed quiet, mostly. Inside me, rage built up, dense and sharp, burning away at my restraint. More than once, I'd see my reflection in a shop window, mouth set hard, and think, I don't deserve this. But I learned to hold it in, to wait. I took whatever jobs let me slip through the cracks, scrubbing at the train station late at night, sorting flyers in a damp cellar, washing dishes for men who never learned my name. And in the morning, I'd sling my camera round my neck, tucking into back streets, chasing light. I stalked shadows beneath S-Bahn tracks, caught the glint of tears on lovers' cheeks, waited hours for the right expression on a pensioner's face in Mauer Park. I shot everything and everyone. It was as much desperation as art. Money trickled in, rarely. A local zine published a spread, Street Grief. It came with a free kebab, no payment. I hung the cuttings in the bathroom, the only place I had left that felt mine. 2 winters slid past, sharp as razors. I lost Nana in the second, her heart giving out with the same quiet wisdom she'd always carried. She left me her battered Leica, black paint scraped down to brass. I wore it everywhere, even as my shoes wore through. Peter's jeers didn't change. If anything, they sharpened. Still with the snapshots? Should have become a plumber like your cousin. He's got a car now. You seen it? By then, I had stopped answering. I lived in silence. Mama did her best, but her patience wore thin. You can't eat dreams, Janek, she said one night so gently it stung. But restraint became my shield. I saved every rejection slip, every sneer, every unkind word, rolled them up tight and shoved them into the growing fire in my chest, fueling the urge not to quit. Choice left me when rent came due. Not wanting to crawl home, I moved into a flat share in Wedding. My new housemates were loud, brash, and endlessly photographing themselves for social accounts I never bothered to follow. But for the first time, I wasn't the only dreamer. Petra wrote poetry no one read. Cosmin was terrible at guitar but worse at sitting still. They loved my stories from the street. Sometimes Petra posed for me, smoky-eyed and unashamed. Through them, I stumbled into work that almost paid, sometimes band shots, sometimes grungy couples in love with each other and the city's blurred nighttime spectacle. With each job, I felt a piece of the old Janek chipping away, less rage, more resolve. At an art squat near Görlitzer Park, I found my chance. A bored curator wandered in as I hung prints from the exposed pipes overhead, my hands shaking at the rawness of it all. She liked the people, the ache in their expressions. You see hunger, she said. Berlin likes that. She connected me with an agency. I shot weddings, editorials, portraits of models who barely smiled but paid in cash. It wasn't glamorous. It was mostly lonely, but I could pay my own rent, could feed myself, send Mama a little bit when I could. Over the next few years, the world yawned open. Small exhibits led to bigger ones. My work started showing in real galleries, beneath white lights and walls colder than winter air. I flew, first to Paris, then London, then Istanbul, each city another notch in a growing sense of freedom. Peter heard, of course. He tried to brush it off as beginner's luck. Let's see how long that lasts, his text said. But his words felt thin, distant. I no longer needed anyone's permission. Time skidded onward. My first major solo show was in Prenzlauer Berg, in a sleek, modern space with silence as deep as velvet. The posters ran in streetcar stations across the city. My name, my photographs, looming over the slow tide of commuters. I